Well, and
really the goal, you know?
it's their goal too to keep the industry going, and so for the products that they sell to
Yeah. Yeah.
anything they can do to help out and show that this
Yeah.
trends, or this is where this is going, or who's doing what else, and there's an increase in designers. There's more. I mean, there's so many fabric companies now,
So
so
many.
many more designers. It's like so much, but now it's like more with the fabric.coms, the Amazon. Amazon owns fabric.com, Missouri Star. All these companies are like undercutting the local quilt shop because they can't. A local quilt shop can't get the fabrics for the price that they do at distributor pricing.
Right.
So there's a lot of competition on that front too that people are like competing for, because if you type in one fabric collection, I mean, you're going to get 35 pages on Google of places you can buy it at.
That's right.
But for the big dogs, I think like fabric companies, manufacturers of products, of like the battings, the stabilizers, the things that everybody uses and needs.
That's right. Yeah.
I think those would probably be the places where I would start.
Start with them. Yeah. And we interviewed June Taylor yesterday.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we've interviewed him. It's amazing.
Taylor, that's interesting for copyright. I'd be curious to hear that one.
Super interesting, right? And they were on the sort of beginning of so many things, which is really interesting. The age of the company in this is really interesting, and their philosophy is really interesting.
And you know how we were talking about rulers and so many rulers? There's so many designers out there who have these fabulous ruler ideas, but they don't know where to have them made. Yeah. So then they reach out to companies, and then they get paid royalties, but like they don't own the rights to their own design, So like, and they don't know. These people sign off on these things, and I'm like, did you not read the agreement?
Do you think that your law degree helps a lot?
Oh, absolutely.
Hugely, right?
I when I was doing those sponsorships with companies and stuff for my videos early on like monetizing it, I would draft my own contracts. There were companies that were like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. And I'd be like, okay, attach, see my agreement. And they'd be like, oh, an agreement?
That's really
and
great.
So I know one company that I worked with, after I sent them my contract, my friend calls me up and she's like, oh, I've been working with them for a couple of years and they just sent me a contract. She's like, I found it really weird. And I'm like, oh, send it to me. And I look at it, I'm like, that's
your
my
contract.
But they were like, oh, this is legit professional.
That's great. That's remarkable. What do you think in terms of contracts for sponsorship are key things to think about on that?
Because if it's audio content, video content, anything that's evergreen, the understanding, I think it's important to put in all the details of how that content can be used going forward, eventually, if you're using it for something else and different, and like what each party's is providing on either side. And for me, really, like being able to like, okay, I'm going to create this video content. It's mine. It's going to live on my channel indefinitely. And so I would charge them more if they wanted the raw footage to put on their channel. Most of them were just fine with having it on my channel. But, I'm like, you can put it on yours too, but I need the views. I need the hits for mine.
Right.
On top of that, because, it's evergreen content. They're getting they pay me one time and they're getting.
That's what I was going to ask. They pay you one time?
Yeah.
And has the cost of what they're paying you gone up as your percentage goes up?
Absolutely. Yeah. Now I don't even do sponsored content because I don't need it. Now I'm in a place where I can buy my own inventory at distributor pricing. So this is interesting in the game of like wholesale and shops, right?
Yeah.
I'm a home business, but I can buy from vendors at distributor pricing because I buy at distributor quantity. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I get better discounts than a quilt shop does because I go direct to the consumer and I'll sell out. Like I buy stuff in 500 in 1,000 quantity and it'll sell out like this.
That's amazing.
Like a quilt shop, you know what I mean? Like
that's so cool.
Quilt shop. But it's harder because it's the brick and mortar. You have to have hours of people coming into your place. For me online, I do a live stream like, hey guys, this is in stock right now. Here's a project. Here's how you do it. Yeah. Click to buy and click to buy. My husband does all the shipping. It goes out and the inventory is back to zero. Next, pick a different product. Reach out to vendors, see who's going to give me distributor pricing. And that way I get a discount because then I can offer at a discounted retail price to the consumer too. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Because we're cutting out the wholesaler. We're cutting out the middleman.
Yeah. And you still see those small sales. Like how much are you making off a sale? You're still, because you have so many of them.
Yeah.
It's the numbers game.
So when I do like the bag clubs, people are paying the membership to join the club, and it's like anywhere from $70 to $95 depending for those 5 projects that you get. But on top of that, I will source the inventory to sell kits that go along with it. So you don't have to find the magnetic snap, the zippers, the hardware, the handles, the this, the that. You buy the kit from us. And I've sourced all that stuff out. So I offer it at a discounted price. And then that's just an upsell for me already added onto the cost of the membership. So I mean, sometimes I would order anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000 worth of inventory a month, and then my profit over that is, ridiculous.
That's amazing.
So it'd be like a constant, like,
yeah.
But it needs to be back to zero. Like I don't keep a massive inventory on hand.
Yeah.
We keep some for any new people that are joining, but my key thing is to like buy a bunch that I know I can sell and flip it, because I don't have a shop. We don't have a warehouse.
And so you know, because of your history, how many to buy. That you get, and you're
usually, if it's new and I'm not too sure, and I'm like, whatever, I'll buy it, and I always sell out. Like even when I'm like, it hasn't sold, my husband's like, it's been 16 hours, calm down. Like at the end of the day,
I totally want to meet him.
It's hard because when you're used to just like, boom,
Right.
And I did like garment sewing fabrics, and I sold like rayon jerseys, and a lot of my following doesn't sew garments because they've had terrible experiences with it. So here I am selling rayon jersey, and I'm like, oh my God, nobody's buying it. My husband's like, one day has passed. One day. Like by the end of the second day, it was all sold out. I was like, oh, I feel better. Okay.
That's very great. Well, we should chat more. I think I'm supposed to be building a following and an audience so that we can do other things. Like that's the power is following. Whether that's whatever that is for the future. It seems like that's important.
So I would reach out to the Craft Industry Alliance because they're always looking for knowledgeable people to give talks to their audience. And I think that would be a fabulous place for you to grab and build a following of industry professionals at whatever level, entry level, beginners, people that are new to designing and whatever. That would be great. And I actually, if you email me, and I'll, just like as a little reminder, and I'll send you info for the girl that owns it. Her name is Ashley Glassenberg. And she runs a podcast called While She Naps.
I've connected with her.
So
she's going to come on. So
exactly.
Yeah, I think so.
She's awesome. Yeah,
she's amazing.
So she runs Craft Industry Alliance. Her and Kristen Link from Sew Mama Sew are the ones that run Craft Industry Alliance. Awesome. So that's their thing. But I think that would be a great place to start, and maybe some Facebook groups for business, quilt designers groups and stuff like that, because you'll see a lot of these questions pop up. Yeah. And even chimed in and was like, hey guys, I see a lot of this talk on this thread. We have this going on. You know what I mean? And pull those out, because it's not, you're not selling nothing. So it's not like you're spamming the thread, but it's like, oh, we have this other resource of information here.
Yeah. Hold on. We foster kittens, and this one's out of control.
We got a couple cats too. My kids love kitties.
We foster them as part of my daughter's in high school, and so that's her services. So we get them from like 0 to 2 pounds, and then they leave. So we always have babies in the house.
How cute.
Ridiculous. But it's good. It's fun. Okay. I had last question. First of all, I would love to chat with you more. So I would love for you to come on as we grow and sort of chat with you again, because I think, and you can tell me more about what's going on with you. So I would love that. But secondly, how do you balance the rest of your life with all of this?
So because my husband's home now, he does a lot of the not fun stuff in family life and in business, so that I can kind of have that creative space to still create. Because a lot of the times I was finding myself where like a lot of business stuff and house stuff and everything, and then I'd go in my studio and be like, okay, now I have to design a new project, and it's like I can't force that like that, like I have 2 hours, come up with something new. And so he started taking on, well, he's been forever doing all like laundry, cleaning.
That is so awesome. A
lot of the homeschooling the kids, driving them here, driving them there, activities and field trips and homeschool field trips and homeschool family play dates and co-ops, and so that I could travel. When I was traveling more, I was taking up, as you grow, it's like all these new opportunities, and you're like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. I signed up for this, I signed up for that. And so in the past year, we've decided that we want to, spend more time as a family, scale down the traveling. And so we opened up a brick and mortar business. And that's really it. It's because my husband does everything else so that I can do this, because he handles all my event planning, business inquiries, customer service, shipping.
Amazing. That's a lot. What is your brick and mortar business?
It's a sewing studio. It's called the Sewing Coop. And I sewing and quilting and crochet classes to kids and adults.
That's so cool. And
so instead of me traveling to teach, I now have this space where people, if they want to, they can come and take classes.
The Sewing Coop. Well, let's do another podcast at some point and chat about that. That would be really fun. And it's
awesome.
And where is it located? You're in
Gainesville, Florida is where
very cool.
A college town, little kind of really artsy, progressive little town, but we don't have any fabric stores. The last one closed right when I opened this one.
Really?
So there's no sewing machine dealer. Yeah, there's no sewing machine dealer. There's no quilt shop. There's no fabric store. We have a Joann's, and that's it.
That's crazy. Well, let's chat sometime. I just chatted with somebody who just opened someplace in Copper Canyon Quilting in Lake Havasu. So I would love to chat with you about that. It's a different one, about your experiences and how your strategy, because each shop is so different.
It's so different.
And
that would
be
great.
great.
So it's interesting. You know, the business model that I have for that, it's the educational is more for a teaching space, you know, studio. I have some fabrics and I provide kits for some projects that we're working on, because you can't find that stuff anywhere else locally. But it's not like a fabric store, but it's a totally different mindset when you run an online business versus brick and mortar, you know.
And do you find, because I chatted with somebody who had a sewing business here, and they just couldn't make it. It closed because you have to be teaching people, and there's, but do you find that that's because you have such a reputation, I suspect that that's a very different thing as opposed to a local opening a shop.
Yeah. So, I mean, from day one, it's paid for itself. You know what I mean? And I'm not there every day. So for me, and I keep the prices high, of course, because I have to drive into town and I have to be in that space. And I'm like, people pay a lot more money than what I'm charging you guys to learn from me. So this is like, you know what I mean? And so when I teach kids too, it's hard for parents. They think it's just like, oh, after school care. But it's like, no, I pay for horseback riding. I pay for piano lessons. This is the same kind of a.
Right.
And so they start to see everything that's involved with, wow, my kid was practicing math and fractions and measuring and marking and fine motor skills. And it's like a whole nother thing. When I do kids camps, when the kids are not in school, those are huge. They sell out, and, I have 6 to 9 kids in each of those classes, and they do great. I do 2 days like that, and I pay all the bills for the month. So
You're
I don't.
Amazing. You're like you are such a rock star, more than I even dreamed. You're amazing.
But that's like how you have to set it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of work.
How am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to know? You have to. But I love to teach, and my husband's like, if it were up to you, I know you'd be in that studio every day. So I love, because I've been online for so long. The retreats were great for me, the cruise, but I wanted to do more in person.
It's
funny. I really get a lot out.
Yeah, I know we're way over time. We're going to probably have to shut this into 2
I know
anyway.
My husband's like, you have animals to feed, but.
Okay. But did you find, let me just, the last thing is I do online teaching, and have you just gotten used to being like in your studio by yourself talking to people? Is it weird, or do you just get used to it?
No, I'm an extrovert, so I'm always seeking out those kind of opportunities. So the live stream for me was like the closest thing. It's like, hey, everybody. And like my hour would go out, I'm like, are you kidding me right now? It's like funny and it's interactive, and so in person is the next thing. But again, teaching for me is back to that resourceful, challenging thing, right? You have 6 people. They all learn at different paces and different ways. So I see instructions. 3 people get it. They're like, oh, I get it. I'll go off and work. The other 3 people are looking at me like, I have no idea what you just said. Yeah. So then I'll explain it. I have to come up with a different way to break it down, to a way that I'm like, I'm looking at them like, did you get that? Did it click in your head? And then I'll say it a different way, and 2 people will be like, oh, now I get it. So then they're off and working. And then the last person, and I'm constantly like, how can I break this down into a way that this different person who thinks completely different than me can get it? And that's fun for me, because when I see the light bulb moment versus the shutdown where they're like, I'm too dumb, I can't do it, this is not for me, I have all my students leave like, I can't believe you got me to
That's
make
what it should be, right? It should be enhancing your life. Well, anything else before we end? This has been such an amazing time. I really do appreciate all your time today.
I go off on tangents, but I'm glad you asked me a bunch of questions and tried to keep me in check.
You were great.
Happy to do another podcast, and just let me know if you need any contacts for any of those things.
Cool. And if you think of anything, any of them would be great. So we'll start. So. It's a new adventure. It's always fun. New adventures are great.
It sounds awesome. It sounds fun, and I think it's totally needed in this industry. Yeah.
So cool. I appreciate that. All right, fabulous. You have a great day. It was great chatting with you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. So this is Elizabeth Townsend Guard. You've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School. We want to hear from you. Join our army, our quilting army. Go to our Facebook page. Suggest people to be interviewed. Suggest yourself to be interviewed. We are excited to hear from you. But most importantly, I hope you get a chance to quilt today.